Imagine you're staring down the barrel of a massive life-altering crisis.
Oh, yeah, you're terrified.
They're terrified. You're scrambling for a solution, and you're leaning heavily on a backup plan that you think is completely foolproof.
Right.
And suddenly, someone decides to give you a warning about that plan. But they don't pull you aside for a quiet coffee.
No, and they definitely don't write you a concerned letter.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they strip off all their clothes, take off their shoes, and walk through the center of your town, completely naked and barefoot, for 3 consecutive years.
Oh, wow. I mean, every single day, blistering heat or freezing cold.
Yeah, they are out there just to physically demonstrate how catastrophic your decision-making actually is.
Which is just the ultimate form of inescapable, extreme public performance art.
It really is. Welcome to today's Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
We're exploring one of the most bizarre, shocking, and, well, ultimately brilliant historical warnings from the ancient world.
The kind of warning that makes everyone profoundly uncomfortable, it forces you to avert your eyes.
And completely disrupts the normal flow of daily life, which of course was entirely the point.
Right.
So today we're pulling our insights from the 20th chapter of the book of Isaiah, along with a companion application guide that unpacks the core themes of the text.
And our goal today is to look at this dramatic historical event, but more importantly, we want to dissect the human behavior driving it.
Because at its core, this isn't just a story about ancient geopolitics.
Not at all. It's really a surgical strike on the dangers of misplaced trust.
Yeah, and a roadmap for how we can fundamentally strengthen our trust in God when everything around us feels, completely unstable.
Absolutely. And to really grasp the weight of that warning, we have to start by understanding the sheer terror that was gripping that part of the world at the time.
Right, so we are in the ancient Near East, and the geopolitical temperature isn't just high, it is boiling over.
Oh, it's terrifying. You have the Assyrian Empire, led by King Sargon, acting as the undisputed superpower of the day.
And they aren't just defeating enemies.
No, they are systematically crushing entire nations, displacing populations, and expanding with this ruthless efficiency.
Right. The text opens by noting that Sargon sends his top commander, Tartan, to fight against a city called Ashdod.
And Tartan simply conquers it.
Just like that. It's a brief mention in the text, but the implications for the surrounding nations, particularly Judah, are massive.
Because Ashdod falling is a massive flashing siren that the Assyrian war machine is literally at your doorstep.
The domino effect, right?
Exactly. When a fortified city like Ashdod falls, the illusion of regional safety just shatters.
Everyone is suddenly acutely aware that their own walls might not hold.
Panic sets in. And in that specific atmosphere of dread, the Lord gives the prophet Isaiah a command that defies all social and personal norms.
He tells Isaiah to loose the sackcloth from his waist, take his shoes off, and walk naked and barefoot.
For 3 full years.
1,000 days of public humiliation. Which brings up an immediate question, why the theatrics?
Right, why go to such an extreme?
Yeah. If God wanted to warn the people, why couldn't Isaiah just stand in the town square and deliver a very stern, articulate speech?
Well, because a polite speech does not penetrate the kind of cognitive dissonance that fear creates.
Yep, makes sense.
God explicitly states that Isaiah walking naked and barefoot is a, quote, sign and wonder against Egypt and Ethiopia.
Right.
The prophecy declares that the king of Assyria is going to eventually conquer these nations and lead the Egyptians and Ethiopians away as captives.
Young and old, completely stripped down.
Exactly. The text emphasizes this total humiliation, even noting their buttocks uncovered to signify the absolute shame of Egypt.
So Isaiah is essentially acting out the future reality of the very nations that people are looking to for salvation.
Yes, he is a walking, breathing spoiler alert for their terrible backup plan.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure, go for it.
Let's put ourselves in the shoes of a leader in Judah at that time. Assyria is a terrifying, ruthless empire, actively devouring your neighbors.
Right, they're coming for you.
If they are marching toward you, allying with Egypt, the other major superpower in the region, it just seems like basic, logical statecraft.
It seems like practical defense.
Yeah. Why is God condemning them for trying to survive through a strategic geopolitical alliance?
It's a completely fair question, and it actually touches on the central tension of the text.
Okay.
So the issue wasn't the diplomacy itself. The issue was ultimate reliance.
Ultimate reliance.
Right. The text notes that the people of the region viewed Ethiopia as their expectation and Egypt as their glory.
Ah, I see.
They weren't just signing a treaty. They were putting their entire existential hope, their ultimate trust, in the military might of Egypt.
They treated a human empire as their savior, completely bypassing their reliance on God.
Exactly. They looked at Egypt's chariots and thought, well, this is our true security.
So they substituted God for the most visible, tangible form of security they could find.
Which makes perfect psychological sense when you think about it.
It really does.
Yeah.
When human beings are terrified, we want something we can touch.
Right. We want to see the armor, the weapons, the sheer numbers. We crave the visible.
Because when life feels out of control,
Yeah.
our instinct is to grab onto the biggest, heaviest thing in the room.
Because it looks immovable. And Egypt looked established. It had a massive army, wealth, history.
It projected this aura of invincibility.
Exactly.
You know, it's like buying a heavy, beautiful piece of furniture online.
Oh, yeah, that's a great analogy.
Right. You see the photos, it looks incredibly solid. It has this gorgeous oak finish.
So you buy it, put it in your house.
And the first time you lean your full body weight on it, you hear a loud crack.
Ouch.
You realize it's actually made of cheap hollow plastic with a veneer over it,
Right, you attached yourself to a solution based entirely on how it looked.
without ever testing the structural integrity underneath.
And that is exactly the dynamic at play here. The illusion of external strength is one of the most dangerous traps we fall into.
The sources really emphasize this recurring human flaw, don't they?
They do. We constantly equate visibility with reliability. But appearance does not equal strength.
Egypt looked like solid oak. But under the crushing weight of the Assyrian army, it was going to shatter like hollow plastic.
Exactly. And Isaiah's physical performance is aggressively tearing off that veneer.
By walking around stripped of everything, he is forcing them to look at the underlying reality.
He's essentially saying, you think Egypt is going to clothe you in protection and glory.
No, they are going to be stripped naked and led away in chains exactly like I am walking right now.
This is what your backup plan actually looks like. He is visually dismantling their false savior.
Wow.
But here is the most baffling part of the history, and honestly, perhaps the most convicting part for us.
Okay, what is it?
Even with Isaiah literally spelling out the impending disaster every single day for 3 years,
Yeah.
the people still chose to lean on Egypt.
Wait, really? Even after 3 years of that?
Yep. The warning was impossible to miss. It was culturally disruptive, highly offensive, but it didn't change their behavior.
That is maddening. You have a flashing neon sign warning you that the bridge is out ahead, and you just keep your foot on the gas.
Right.
Why do we do that? Like, what is the psychological mechanism that allows a person to see a 3-year warning and completely ignore it?
Well, it comes down to the paralyzing effect of urgency combined with human ego.
Urgency and ego.
Yeah. When a threat like Assyria is looming, your brain screams for an immediate fix, pausing to actually evaluate the foundation of your backup plan.
It feels like a luxury you just can't afford.
Exactly. You feel like you have to do something right now, so you latch on to the most obvious solution.
And once you make that choice, cognitive dissonance kicks in.
Because if you admit that your solution is flawed, you have to admit you're back at square one.
Oh, man. If the leaders of Judah acknowledge that Egypt can't save them, they have to step back into the terrifying anxiety of having no visible defense.
Precisely. Admitting your safety net is an illusion is agonizing. It requires immense humility.
You have to say, the thing I thought would save me is useless.
And most people would rather risk the eventual collapse than sit in the immediate uncomfortable vulnerability of needing a new plan.
We cling to the hollow furniture because holding on to something feels better than holding on to nothing.
That's beautifully said, but the sources are brutal about the consequences of that choice.
Yeah, the text explicitly describes the reaction when Egypt finally falls.
It says the inhabitants who relied on them are described as being afraid and ashamed.
Their expectation and glory turn into outright panic.
Right. They ask, behold, such is our expectation, whether we flee for help to be delivered from the king of Assyria, and how shall we escape?
Notice the shift in emotion there.
Yeah, it goes from confidence to fear to deep shame.
Because when you place your ultimate trust in a false foundation, the failure isn't just disappointing.
No, it's a profound public embarrassment.
The text emphasizes that Egypt's shame would be uncovered, literally.
And by extension, the foolishness of those who trusted Egypt is laid bare for everyone to see.
It fails publicly. It takes you down with it in front of everyone.
Right. You don't just lose your safety net, you lose your dignity, because everyone sees that you put your faith in a mirage.
And that brings us to the most critical pivot in understanding this text.
Because The collapse of the visible safety net is devastating, sure, but it serves an essential redemptive purpose.
Okay, unpack that for us.
There's a concept that surfaces when studying these kinds of historical failures. Exposure creates clarity.
Exposure creates clarity. That is a powerful way to frame it.
Think about it. The breaking of the false foundation is the only way we realize what we were actually standing on.
Wow, yeah. When things are going well, when the veneer is intact, you can completely deceive yourself into thinking your security is real.
Exactly. But failure reveals the truth. You only see the actual structural integrity of a thing when it is put under extreme pressure.
So when the quote-unquote Egypt in your life collapses, it shouldn't just be viewed as a disaster.
No, it is vital, undeniable feedback.
It's reality finally breaking through the illusion, telling you that your foundation was never what you thought it was.
So if we bring this out of the ancient Near East and into the modern day,
The applications are literally endless.
completely. We don't have Assyrian armies marching toward our cities, obviously.
But we constantly build our own alliances with modern Egypts.
Right. We look for things that project glory and expectation, and we put our ultimate trust in them to keep us safe from the anxieties of life.
So think about what functions as armor today for you.
For some, it is a relentless pursuit of a corporate title.
Oh, absolutely.
They believe that if they just reach a certain level of influence or authority, they will finally be secure from the volatility of the economy or even the judgment of others.
For others, it's a bloated investment portfolio, a meticulously curated public image, or even specific political movements.
We attach ourselves to these things believing they are solid oak.
And just like the ancient world, we ignore the warning signs.
Yes, we do.
You might have a career that is destroying your health and alienating your family, a modern-day equivalent of a 3-year warning that this path is destructive.
But you cling to the title because stepping away means stepping into the unknown.
You'd rather endure the slow destruction than admit your savior is flawed.
Until the pressure hits.
Right. A market crash wipes out the portfolio. The company downsizes and the title vanishes.
The public image gets tarnished, the modern Assyria arrives, and the modern Egypt shatters.
And in that moment of public, painful exposure, we are forced to ask the exact same question they asked thousands of years ago.
How shall we escape? Where do we go now?
That question, where do we go now,
Yeah.
is terrifying. But it's also the exact moment true spiritual growth becomes possible.
I completely agree. Because once the human solutions are exposed as completely fragile, the text forces us to look upward.
If the visible world cannot hold our weight, what is left?
What is left is the invisible foundation. The entire purpose of stripping away the false security is to push us toward the only true security, which is a relationship with God.
The contrast the text presents is really stark when you look at it that way.
It is. Human instinct says, trust what you can see. God says, the things you can see are temporary and easily broken.
Trust the God you cannot see, because his foundation is fundamentally unbreakable.
It's a complete rewiring of how we seek safety.
It is. We are so conditioned to measure our security by checking our bank accounts on our phones or looking at the social status we've built.
And shifting our confidence away from those tangible metrics and placing our ultimate trust in an invisible God. I mean, it requires a massive leap of faith.
It does. But it is the only logical move once you understand the reality of the visible world.
Exactly. The message of Isaiah 20 isn't just a grim prediction of doom. It is actually a profound gift.
A gift.
Yeah. By showing us in graphic detail that our worldly backup plans are guaranteed to fail under ultimate pressure, it frees us.
It frees us from the exhausting work of trying to maintain them.
Right. It gives us permission to stop polishing the hollow plastic furniture and instead build our lives on bedrock.
So the goal isn't to wait until the crisis hits to figure this out.
Not at all.
The goal is to evaluate our foundations right now while things are calm. To ask ourselves, if this specific thing I rely on were taken away tomorrow, would my identity and my sense of security collapse with it?
That is the perfect diagnostic question.
Yeah.
Because if your trust is already resting on God, the failure of worldly systems doesn't shatter your core.
You will still face difficulties, obviously.
Of course, the Assyrian army might still march through the region, so to speak. Economic hardships will happen, careers will stumble.
But your ultimate expectation and glory are not tied to those fragile systems.
Exactly. You are insulated from that specific devastating shame of realizing you trusted a mirage.
So how do we actively apply this? If you are listening right now, it isn't about feeling guilty for having a savings account or wanting a stable job.
No, it's about checking the hierarchy of your trust.
Pay attention to where your anxiety spikes.
Yes. If a shift in the stock market or a rumor at work sends you into an existential spiral, that is a warning sign.
That is your own personal indicator that you might be leaning a little too hard on Egypt.
And when you notice those warning signs, don't dismiss them just because fixing the foundation feels uncomfortable.
Don't let the urgency of the moment trick you into clinging to a bad plan.
Right. Use those moments of anxiety or even those moments of minor failure as feedback to actively shift your reliance back to God.
It's about recognizing that strength isn't always visible, and visibility sure isn't always strength.
The loudest, most impressive looking solutions are often the quickest to break.
Ultimately, the sources remind us that we don't have to wait for a catastrophic public exposure to find clarity,
We can choose clarity now by examining what we call our glory and our expectation.
and ensuring those titles belong exclusively to God.
Exactly.
Well, it makes you wonder, if Isaiah were walking through our neighborhoods today, what specific institutions or safety nets would he be pointing his finger at?
What are the modern empires we're putting all our chips on, completely unaware that they're already cracking under the pressure?
It's a lot to think about. So to wrap this up, how will you apply this information in your life?